Hi, guys. Are you with me? Okay, I'm the flying queen. So, once you become fearless, you become limitless. I just want this word limitless, when I got it from TEDxHyderabad, it touched my heart a lot. So I want to tell you what it meant for me. What is limitless? Limitless means infinity. Limitless means with no boundaries. Limitless means endless. You can see to the other end of the world. You can't even see where the horizon ends. That's limitless. But now to look at the other side of the coin of this word. What does it mean? To be confined, to be restricted, to be limited. All of us at some stage of our life get into this, the negative side of this coin. We become limited. It could be in our offices, it could be in our personal life, it could be in our family, or anything, but we become limited. We don't want to soar anymore. We don't want to do anything. But life gives, in reality, life gives you the opportunity of how much you want to do, how much you want to learn. It's left to you all to take that decision if you want to be limitless. So once again, I say that you become fearless and then you conquer limited. It is this quality of being fearless that in 1979, 40 years ago, I decided to skydive. I happen to be, so you guessed my age. So I happened to be at this army party, and when I was there, I was in this group, and they were suddenly talking about skydiving. And when they were talking about skydiving, I said, hey, the chief instructor, who was a French lady married to an Indian Army officer, said, it's sad that no women have signed up. So I said, can I join the course? She said, be there at 5:30 in the morning. And before I could say Jack Robinson, next day morning, I was there. I never even gave it a second thought. I was there. Because from childhood, I always wanted to fly like a bird. For 15 days, we had rigorous ground training. They taught us how to roll. They taught us, how to pack our own parachutes. They taught us what is the emergencies that take place. But I thank her for the way she was so strict that after that, I never hesitated, or all my drills were in my mind. I was so set to face any situation. So finally, after 15 days, when the day came for my jump, I was very excited. I was wearing this parachute of mine. I was ready to go to the aircraft, and everything very excited. And once in the aircraft, we were at 4,500 feet. That little aircraft that you see there, that orange aircraft, at 4,500 feet, she tells me to come to the door. I'm supposed to be expecting that, isn't it? So here I'm sitting at the door, and she says, go. She says, go. And finally, she gets mad at me because she's already taken my safety pin out, and that pin will open my bag because it's on a timer. And she said, go! And with a lot of fear, I jumped out. But because my hand was sweating, that is a fixed-wing aircraft, it has a strut. I flew faster than the aircraft and hung from the strut. I was Superwoman, flying. Okay, but my hands were wet, and I slipped and fell. So what happened? I was happy then, my parachute over my head, and I screamed for joy, and then I did a perfect landing. The next day, thank you. The next day was the same story. Again, my hands were sweating. Again, I was holding that strut. The third day, I got hold of that strut, and I refused to leave it. I just refused to leave it. So she had to come out, and she literally pushed me down. And then when I got to the ground, and when the debriefing took place, she says, you're not coming back to this course anymore. Don't come anywhere near the skydiving club. I started crying. I didn't know what to do. So the co-jumpers with me said, Rachel, go say sorry to her. She'll let you jump. Okay? So I went. I apologized. I said, ma'am, will you give me one more chance? So she said, okay. Then she sat me down and she said, everyone goes through fear. It's like you've learned to drive. You went to a driving school. And after learning the driving school, you've got to go out and drive yourself, all by yourself. You're scared. So the same thing she explained to me. She says, I lost my best friend on my 100th jump. I couldn't skydive after that for a month. So then she said, you're going to face the tail now and go out this way. So when she said, you do that, you will go in for a roll. But if you make a good body position, you will stable out. So I did it, and I overcame fear. After that day, there was no turning back in my life. I could jump from any aircraft, from any height, at any time. I would run. I have jumped from DC-3s. We would run out, we would jump out as if it was some fun game to do. So I just overcame fear. So that is part of your life. You have to overcome and get forward. Before I go ahead, I want to just tell you in brief the difference between skydiving and paratrooping. You saw a couple of clips over there of people jumping together. That's not skydiving. That's called a tandem jump, where you have an instructor on the top and you are the passenger. So you are not doing anything yourself. It's your instructor who's doing the whole jump. You just go for a joyride. But for us, when we skydive by ourselves. There is nobody with us. Not your instructor, not your best friend, nobody. You are there out alone. So like I was explaining to you, the basic position is called a spread eagle position. So your hands are straight out, and your legs are spread out like this, and your body is in an arch. So basically, we are falling like this, with our hands out and our legs spread out. That's the basic position. Once you cross 10 seconds and you come into gravity, and if your hands are not in the same level, you slowly start to turn. And you're not doing it on your own. It just happens. So what happens is that you have to learn to see which side you're turning, this side, so I should pull this up. So once you learn to stabilize, then you learn the next position of jumping like a frog position. That's your hands in front and your legs are bent. And then there are more positions, like you go into a dive position, you can go into a delta position. For that, you're going horizontal. So there are various positions, and every jump is a learning experience. The most difficult among all the jumps is to stand straight. To learn to stand straight in the air is the most difficult thing. And when we fall, like, for example, from 10,000 feet to 3,000 feet, you'll ask me why 3,000. 3,000 is safety, because you open your main parachute. If there is any problem, you have enough time to do a cutaway and go on to your reserve. So by 1,500, 1,800, you're under the reserve canopy. So from 10,000 feet to 3,000 feet, you fall in 45 seconds. So we are falling at the rate of 120 miles per hour. And if you're doing a delta, you can even cross 150 to 160 miles per hour, and you're traveling ground. Whereas in paratrooping, there's a static line that helps you to open your parachute. So they jump only that's the Army way of jumping. They jump out of the aircraft. There is a static line that opens a parachute. Skydiving is the best sport on the earth. It's the closest you can get to being a bird. And Hyderabad guys, you're lucky. Desert India is opening here in another month or so. Yes. And I'm proud what I wanted to do 20 years ago. Satish is going to do it here, right in Karul, 2 hours from here. So all of you youngsters go and learn to skydive. So just in brief, I was 23 years old. I was a mother of 2 kids when I did my first 10 jumps. That was my basic course. Everyone said I was crazy. How can you? But I broke every barrier. How can you be a mother of 2 kids and leave your 2 kids and go and jump? I said, can you tell me anything that is safe? Crossing a road is safe. Sitting under this fan is safe. If it's walking down the steps is safe. If it's safe, then I'll stop skydiving. So no one had an answer, so I continued with my sport. I'm just going to show you in brief, because my talk is something else. I don't want to focus on myself. So in brief, in 23 years, what I did. So the first thing that I did was demos, because I just had 10, 15 jumps, so I did demos. That was in Jabalpur. That was my first demo. The next demo I did was in Bhopal. This demo was very touching because Shankar Dayal Sharma, that was for the first National Youth Games, he came out and he stood watching me land. It brought tears to my eyes. The President of India standing to see me land. The next opportunity was an opening door for me when I did the FAI jump. That is the main body of the aviation sport. So this was the FAI jump at Safdarjung Airport, which doesn't work anymore. That is next to the PM's house. I jumped over there in '85, as you can see. That opened doors. I went to Australia, and I met Mr. Claude Gillard, who was like my godfather, who told me what to do in the next. He saw the spark in my eyes that I wanted to become someone, and he invited me to Australia. I came back, I wrote a handwritten letter to Rajiv Gandhi, never read it, and I got called to meet him, and he gave me the PM scholarship, and I went to America to train. I trained abroad, and that picture was very cute. So he was looking at my logbook, and he says, "What is this?" So I said, "I forgot to pull." "No pull, no pull." I said, "Whatever you can think of." And he laughed, and I laughed. So he was such a cool person to talk to. Anyhow, this is in America training, and then I decided to be a competitor. So I started competitions. I was the first Indian, both among men and women, to skydive into a competition. That is in the Seoul Olympic Stadium. That you see there is the Seoul Olympic Stadium. I jumped in 1 year before the Olympics. We were trying to bring parachuting into the Olympics, but it didn't happen. So that was a trial with the Olympic company. This was a competition in Sweden. So after 4 years of trying to do competition, I realized people was coming in with 1,000 jumps. I cannot possibly do. So I moved to international judging. I became a judge. That's me sitting on the ground, judging an international competition. I did four judging competition. That's my logbook, my certificate, and everything. And then from there, I moved to become a delegate. I represented India as a delegate in Switzerland first, and then in Paris, I bid for India. And when I bid for India, I won over 13 votes. I put India on the world map in parachuting in 1994, where there was 35 countries with 150 delegates had come. I had other breakthroughs, like you'll see, I've jumped with the Air Force. Sorry, before that, let me say this was the best thing in my life. I went to the North Pole. I skydived over the North Pole. I was part of the Indian Railways. We were celebrating 150 years, and I got sponsored by the railways. I put the flag, our flag, and the railway flag on point 0 on the North Pole. But much more than that was I stayed 6 days there because the weather got bad in minus 55 condition. That was more challenging than doing a jump. The next is, that is the top of the world. So someday, if I come back and give you an explanation of all this, what I did will be a different talk. Then I jumped with the Air Force. I've jumped out of balloons, and so was my life. I want to thank my mother and my sister here and my children to stand with me. Now, this is all the great part of my story. But the other side is, exactly 5 years after I achieved all this, my marriage broke for personal reasons. And it was very difficult because I was staying in this small town, Agra. I was a mother of 2 kids. One was 10, one was 8. But I decided to just stay there and not move. I just decided to fight the battle because I've always been a fighter in my life. And I'm talking about 1984, and I was just 27, 28. It was very difficult for me. Girls get married at 27, 28 now. And here I was divorced with 2 children because my first child was born when I was 18, my second child was born when I was 20. I cannot make them babies again. So I was young, and they were grown up, but it was very difficult. So how did I break those barriers? I decided to face the world. I wanted to tell people that you what is spoken about me is not true. So I stayed there and I fought my battle. Today, I tell each one of you, it doesn't have to be a broken marriage. It doesn't have to be anything. You have to believe in yourself. You have your own identity. You stand in place and you prove yourself. Lift your head high up and walk. Learn to do that. Every morning when you get up, stand in front of the mirror and say, I'm an achiever. I can do this. I can break barriers, face the world, and go out that day, because you don't know if you're going to live tomorrow. So for today, you say, I'm going to achieve this. I am going to be so-and-so. I am going to do this. So that is what life is all about. When we girls get pregnant and we have a baby, and if, suppose, after 9 months, we lose our baby, we'll cry. If the ISRO chief cried after so many years of hard work, was it wrong? No. That was his baby. And if for some little reason it didn't fly or something went wrong, and he cried because he was a guy, is it wrong? Today, I want to tell you, all you guys, if you have a problem, go to the shower, stand in the shower, cry, howl, and take out all your feelings. Go to the mountain, go to a lonely place, cry, howl. Get a best friend, talk to them. Because if you look at statistics today, men are committing more suicide than women are. So you guys, my life is not only for girls. My life is also for you. Okay? And now life is becoming more tough for you guys, because with the work scenario, with jobs and everything is difficult. Become a fighter. Prove yourself that you are better than someone else. You have to decide who you want to be. You want to sit like a broken bird with a broken wing on a treetop and say, I'm limited, I'm confined, I'm restricted, I can't do this. Or you want to be like me, be like an eagle, fly in the sky. Who do you want to be? Decide today. When you go home and you sleep, lie down in your bed, think who you want to be. God, when He created us in our mother's womb, He knitted us and He made us special human beings. He already had plans for us. It's we who restrict God's plans. So all I'm saying to you, you are special. Go out and live your life.